There we go. We're live. All right, I'm taking my car into the shop, and I thought I'd talk. So, last night, the whole of yesterday, I kind of kept myself busy with a number of things. One of them things was the box saga. I started a new run. I was operating with an interview in 1989 that was about 40 minutes, maybe 35, 40 minutes or so, with Michelle Merrill, whom I've formally invited on the channel. We'll see if Michelle finds the time for it. Hey, what's up, Zephyr? I owe you a phone call. I'm working on it. Anyway, so the esoteric connection. Last night, I heard the right part of the box saga involving Outlaw East and the how the function of the rabbis works, right? Because I needed to hear the story again because I was so. When you listen to the oral tradition, when you listen to a story like this, especially when you have the opportunity through the ability to record the oral tradition as said, it's a pretty incredible technology for oral tradition preservation. You can go back and listen to it again and again and again in absolute exactness to how it was originally sourced, as long as it is an untampered file or tape, right? And so this is why a lot of things you got to listen to over and over and over again. You don't just casually listen to Black Earth Productions and then say, "Hey, oh yeah, I'm gonna buy that. I'm gonna bother to spend the money on the hoodie," right? You know, you typically are doing it because you've got a deep understanding and you love the fact that some of these things have somebody's gone through the work of making it into an apparel, and that's got a certain degree of value. So anyway, so what makes these rabbis interesting, because the Hyperborean elites, especially the ones that are the bad guys, it would seem, they're still practicing these particular old ways, which, as the box saga demonstrates, is kind of part of the old deal. It's like it's something that they are hard pressed to let die, is this old hierarchy through the breeding system, and they keep that breeding system a secret because that's how you control the people in the breeding system. And then also you make the people in the breeding system so inherently the only people that know the absolute, like, basics of keeping your country together, right? You know, keeping your tribe appeased. That without them, you fall to ruin, right? Like you see this, like, this is the this is kind of this is the collective Ouroboros, right? This is the vicious cycle of nations, right? Everybody's unconscious primal fear about Donald Trump is that he's either the outsider who is anti-Jew or the outsider who is pro-Jew. It's fascinating, right? He plays on Gemini so well, where there's people that think that he's the anti-Jew and people that think he's the pro-Jew. These two cognitive dissonances are having the oddest argument between them, each other, for the rest of us on the outside to watch. And that's about the only saving grace for the whole world, is looking at the extremes and being a little bit embarrassed about it. Right? Because these extremes have never been on the bare ends, right? But on a primal level, because of how everything is, because of the primordial understanding of root language, which is like the most serious pun of all puns, is the Bach Saga meaning of what's actually going on, because it's very uncomfortable, because the power structure is this fight between an old breeding program that is out of alignment and the new breeding program. And that's what they're doing. That's what the rabbis are for. The rabbis in Bach Saga are fathers. And what they do is that they sire the royal families. And they're not in the royal family bloodline. They're not allowed to be. But basically, they're this guy that makes the Hyperborean genetic connection to the people in the Jarl class down line outside of Atlantis, or Atlantis. This is the conspiracy. That's the infrastructure of the people as a bloodline that are fighting over control. There's ordinary humans that are in the bloodline, not so much controlled, and then there are ordinary humans that are very into this lot in life because there was some sort of changeover, right? Like, this is why, like, people like Game of Thrones. Like you look at the way the show starts. I don't know the books, and neither does anyone else in pop culture know the books. You've got all these good people and all these bad people in the same royal family, and the only thing you can do is vote for one of these guys' kids. Right? Right. And George R.R. Martin knew what the fuck he was talking about. And he was semi-keen. Like if he didn't know the Bach Saga, he unconsciously picked up on threads of it. Right? Because the high affectionary for the North, and the North have its own sense of, even though it's this Iceland, it's our Iceland. It's you know, it's our, you know, because These are Arctic peoples, right? This is the way of the Arctic races. Just as human as the tropical races, but very, 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 very different. And so this is why we have this unconscious issue between the whites and the not whites, right? It's because we're not supposed to tell the story of the human race in these dehumanizing terms. What really impressed me about the nature of the Box Saga being told as a story is that it gave me room to feel the way that I needed to feel about this history, about who these elites are, the theory that the very person telling you this story is from one of these royal family types that has their role and their station, which happens to be a very humble and eccentric position in life. With the manner in which he lives, like a semi-primitive. But yeah, there's just a simple aspect of, I believe that there are just outsiders to everybody encompassed in what we know as this story. It might even be that we can say it's a little bit wrong that we're the only, quote, planet literally, especially if we take it as a mythology, and that other planets do literally exist, but that's not for the purposes of the Wainamoinen mythology, right? And these are the mythological aspects, which explain why you go from an eel to a goat monkey to a chimera to the first supermen who then breed the regular men, right? This is the order of evolution plus spontaneous generation. So the Box Saga gives us ordinary microevolution and then major evolutionary leaps via Uden doing a, quote, thing. And this is what I believe is represented in the Norse Eddas whenever they say the gods called a thing. When it's the gods operating plurally, when the gods are calling council, I believe it's because ultimately it means things have changed on such a fundamental level that they need to check and see if Udenma is doing it. That's what I think it's all about. Because in the very first mentioning of the All Thing in the Voluspa, what is the All Thing? What is also cited in similar verses around it is the Jin region. The Jin region is just kind of explains it's the court of Asgard or whatever, right? That's an exoteric answer, right? And that's all well and good, so that way we can all have agreement, and that's why we speak in the mythological allegories instead of trying to always But this is also about how you rationalize, how the logic goes for your relevant and applicable application of the mythology as your oracle, as your medium, as your what you're using it for in your magical practice. I'm almost to my destination here, by the way, so I have to start paying attention. In fact, I'm going to let you go because I ought to focus now. All right, guys. Thanks so much. I may continue this thought at another time.